Hello and welcome to today's episode. So today we are going to do a basic base flesh colour tones in oils, as we have been doing. So we've got our usual setup, bit of cardboard with bacon parchment glued on, bit of tissue paper, our white spirits, low odour. We've got magenta from Abtielung, got basic flesh tone Abtielung, buff Abtielung, and some pained grey from Winter and Using Oil colours. This is one of the Space Marine, well, Chaos Space Marines from Black Fortress. I just had lying around, so I thought I'd give them a crack. The brushes, I've got a basic craft brush size 1 and some fun brushes. I've got a Rosemary Code size 10-0 and craft brush 10-0. You'll see why soon. Right, so we're going to start with some of the magenta, going into our kind of shadowy recessy areas. Don't need to be too neat. Drop it straight in around the sides of the nose and the eye areas. Some creases around the top of his head. And what I'll do is I'll whack it into the little ear crevice there, around that. I'll add it around this little doodad on the side of his head. Space Marines and their doodads. Just follow it all the way around. I love the start of oil painting because it doesn't have to be neat. And I get away with just playing. Right, and a quick dip in our white spirits onto our tissue paper into our next tone, which is our basic flesh. What I'll do is put that on the highlight areas. Chin, nose. See, mixed a little bit straight away. Obviously, what oil paints are good for, mixing. Around his head. Okay. Quickly clean our brush. When they're wiping the brush, you want to make sure you got as much of the spirits off, so it's a little dab in, maybe much. I want the buff. What is this to go on the very top of his head? This gives us a bit of extra variation in tones. Right. Now, clean the brush. At this stage, definitely make sure your brush is dry. Do is just start mixing it all together. Here's our base setup. It won't look too great to start with, but like I said, this is the start. Start getting an overview of tones. Now, there we go. I'm going to quickly chuck my magnifying glasses on. My old eyes. I can actually see. Then I'm getting my small brush and go back to our basic flesh and starting to hit the highlight areas with a lot smaller dots. And we're going to start bringing it all out a bit. Obviously, eventually we go in the lips as well. In here. Already starting to see blending happening. Obviously, as usual, I will matte this and get a decent shot of it matted so they don't have the glare from the camera and the shininess of the oil paint. This is where I've gone to my 10-0 wrap brush, which is a bit less pointy. Gently merge those colours together. Already start seeing the tone thing a bit. I quite often quickly do a little bit, wipe the brush. Just following this process over a few times at this point. A bit more. I also have a plan for his lower face at the top of his head. Now I've set the tones. Back to our other brush. Get around. Blend that in. Right, now I'm going to get the buff. Bring that in for our highlight areas as well. There we are. Because of the gentle blending of the oils, you get really lovely transitions. Dude has quite an expressive face. There's creases in his forehead. There's an anti-wrinkle cream. You can kind of see the variation in tones on there. Obviously it's a little bit harsh here at the moment. As you go round, if you see there's a bit of a too harsh a transition for you, blend it. Obviously sometimes contrast is good. If you want harsh contrast, builds definition for us in these tiny models. There we go. Now, the fun bit. The Payne's grey. Get a little bit. Dab it into the shadows. Look weird at first, but well mix it. And act on the very little circles and around his head. Slightly bigger brush for the top of his head anyway. Gently blend that out. it again. So with the oils, this is all you do. You take small little areas, gently blending each one out. You don't need to smother the area. Dots and such, dots and lines, helps build texture as well as it blends. Again. That helps grey at the top of his head a bit to give that freshly shaven kind of effect. The dots just to be sure. Same again. This white clock shadow. I'll see some buff again. Just dab of paint grey into the grey out slightly. Use that to re-highlight back in. You still have the pinky undertone. As well to get the flesh effect. An interesting article I read or saw once suggested with faces there's 3 tones. You've got down the bottom tends to be grey. Around so you can see it. Looks like just the harsher blend there. Yeah, you tend to get grey down the bottom of the face. The middle of the face tends to be more pinky, so your cheeks, your nose and such, around your eyes. And the top of the head tends to have a little bit more element to it. There we are. I'm hoping, make sure that's in focus, that gives you a simple, nice way to do basic face flesh tone. Obviously this will work on hands and arms, such as well, but it's just a basic like Caucasian-y colour flesh tone. Or else the other ways you could do it, we could have, instead of using magenta, we could do darker colours, like darker flash colours and such. That would give a slightly different effect. We will do other flash types and other ways of doing it another time. But now I will quickly go and matte him down so you can see a final look. So yep, here we go. I've hit in with a very quick purity seal, which has helped to matte it out a little bit. But hopefully you can see the variation across the tone. See like the grey on the top, and his little fine copper shadow, and the pinky tones going into the highlights. So I hope that's giving you an idea of how to do some flash tones with oils on 28mm or whatever size these are these days models. Yeah, if you enjoyed that, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye.